Narnia and the Twilight Zone had a one-night stand with enough hallucinogens to make the—
Okay, how is the audio, guys? How is the audio? Oh, I haven't heard that Neuro's singing. Will they sing a thing like the Miku, but replace Miku with Neuro? Oh my gosh, I love that. Not to do business while you're streaming, but I'm gonna recommend you to the team, which means we'll have to do an interview. Oh, yes, I am. Definitely, I am in the Discord. I should be in the Discord. I've just been chilling and being like, oh wow, look at all the cool things. Thank you so much. I feel like streaming is part business anyway, but it's just like, it's nice that like you feel comfortable to talk about it on my stream as well. I just want everyone to be able to have chill time. Perfect. Open a ticket and we'll set up a time frame. Thank you, Archer. I appreciate you. I do. Woo-woo. All right, guys. Quite good. All right. Let me start this from the beginning. And I'll do my YouTube intro and stuff. Let me just stretch. Oh, thank you. I feel like it's my community that makes me probably the most fun. And I appreciate that. I do. All right, let me, oh, you didn't see anything. Let me, breaking your immersion one step at a time. Oh, stop it. Thank you. I appreciate all of you. You guys are heaps of fun. All right. Hey, YouTube. We're doing something different today. Recommended by Darksider. We're going to be watching some casual Geographic. And without further ado, let's try it out.
If Narnia and the Twilight Zone had a one-night stand with enough hallucinogens to make the cast of Euphoria flinch, you'd get this island. What happens when you combine snow-seasoned beaches, sky-molesting reaches, air so clean you'd swear it bleaches, a hippie Satanist wet dream jungle, and animals not even Dr. Seuss on Adderall could come up with? You'd get a place with enough worlds for a Mario side-scroller, all packed into an island the size of West Virginia. Tasmania is like the lesser-known DLC spin-off of Australia. It was originally connected to Australia as part of a polyamorous land situation known as Gondwana, until they divorced and Tasmania moved out on its own.
Why did they divorce?
Now without attachment issues, since it's only about 150 miles off the mainland. It's fitting you can't spell Taz without mania, because one day in Australia's draft folder will have you seriously reevaluating your sanity. Everything's just backwards. The seasons are flipped, with summer being December to late February, and winter being June to September. And if you want to fall without
this
tripping,
must be
you'll
weird,
have to
I
March
guess.
1st. And because of the rain
spin-off
shadow
Australia is crazy. I know, I love it.
The west half of the island gets 5 times the rain the east does, making the landscape more bipolar than the animal it's known for. Speaking of the devil, we'll get to them, and that wombat
Tasmanian
is definitely
devils.
not
Oh my gosh.
But that's exactly the kind of mind
I know, right?
From a land
Like,
where
what the
toilets
frick?
flush backwards. In fact, we can start right there. Your introduction to how weird Tasmania can get starts the day you lay cheek on a seat without checking first. That's an easy way to get your taint tickled by a frog in your toilet. It happens so often that it's one of the things Australians just accept as a fact of life. It's like a fairy tale frog trying to be a prince but got confused and went for the wrong lips. But it honestly could be worse. Just think about being the frog.
What the heck?
Imagine thinking you're at a water park but then looking up to an hole dropping bombs like it's Hiroshima. And while getting your bathing suit area caressed by Kermit would surely put a dent in your mental, the frog's technically not dangerous and definitely not the worst thing you can find in your bathroom. Imagine dropping chow in the dunny just to see the highly venomous Tasmanian tiger snake just under some tea. And yes,
understandable, Dumpling. Understandable.
How about a family of also venomous jack jumper ants in your kitchen? Now, their sting is a jihad the wasp, but only mildly painful in humans, unless you're allergic, in which case they'll tattoo your name on a headstone. It's like I always say, the odds might be low, but they're not zero. In Tasmania,
toilet snakes are real. Yeah, toilet snakes are real.
How about a disaster?
You go into Australian countryside, there's toilet snakes.
Close your eyes. Go ahead, do it. Now imagine after a long,
what
the
frick? No, you can't.
Finally get into bed, nestle yourself under the covers. The room is the perfect temperature.
This is nice.
It's nice and dark, and slowly
he's gonna mess me up, isn't he?
Into that familiar, inviting world of. Congrats, you've just had the experience every Australian has at one point.
What the heck?
The day you find out you're roommates with a brush-tailed possum.
Oh my gosh, that was a possum?
The personality trait involves breaking into houses and living there rent-free.
Kill someone? Oh, maybe because I played fast.
That's probably punched. And they're a protected species, so they're above the law, which is how they end up in Looney Tunes levels of nonsense. There was one time a brush-tail broke into and trashed someone's office. That was loud, it was. I almost died. Sorry. This possum broke into a bakery, and I guarantee you sorry is the last thing, other than half-digested pastries coming out of his mouth. In their defense, they are cute. and their vision might be poor, but they'll still peek at you. They're living proof
Yeah, why
that
does it look like
despite life in Tasmania will find a way. Take these rocks for example. The rocks, called dolerite, are formed by magma getting pushed up through the crust, kind of like a pimple that can extend up to 300 meters above the sea.
Why did you describe it as
just
a
under
pimple?
1,000 feet.
Why?
You might think nothing can get any use out of Earth's
I mean, we all do
it's actually a
screams.
popular
It's
rest
true.
stop
It's
for
true.
fur seals, where they can take a break from hunting without also getting packed into a lunchbox by a great white. There's about 50 of these seal service
Look at that
areas
fluffy
across the
idiot.
island.
He is
Over
a fluffy
2,000
idiot.
seals taking
Nothing
advantage.
between
If
those
you look
eyes.
further out, you'll see they're not the only ones. Humpback whales will travel from their freezing feeding grounds to warmer waters to have calves, and back again. And we used to think they just fasted the entire time for 6 months.
This is all around Tassie.
Turns out, humpbacks will
not
use the
even like
waters off
America.
Tasmania like
Sea
truckers at a
puppers? I
diner,
love
as a
that.
place to refuel
We
on
love
the way
sea
home.
puppers.
The sights don't end once you get on the beach either. If you're lucky, you might catch a leatherback freight train of a turtle heading back to sea. If you're a little less lucky, you'll run into a leopard seal that thought it was too good for directions.
It's
You know, it's not
huge.
until you see these things on land that you
leopard
realize
seals are
just
the
how
scariest
bad penguins got it.
thing.
It's rare, but every once in a while the rubber assault sub
You want to talk about seals are absolute. Are they really? I didn't
You might
know.
think they're cute.
I just
but
see them in the
let me
aquarium
remind
like,
you, they have a
and
confirmed
I'm cool.
body count. Besides, there's another seal I think you'd rock with even
What the
more.
frick?
This is Neil the seal. For
Neil
real.
the
He's
seal?
a southern elephant
Why
seal
is he
that's
called
honestly
Neil?
been bullying the small town of Dunalley and
Oh,
everyone.
just for the
just
seals, I
accepts
see it. I
'cause
see
Neil
it.
is the law and the landlord.
No, your
Elephant
cuteness
seals are
overload.
notorious for their intrinsic disdain for human infrastructure.
Are you
Neil
serious? Archer,
is
I had no
different.
idea.
As far as he's concerned, it's his town. Y'all just
Neil
renting
the
it.
seal, yeah,
It's
just
up to
stay
a plus-size
near
queen
the
pet with
ocean?
an attitude problem.
Question mark.
An attitude everyone just puts up with because isn't that just the most Australian thing you can do? Apparently you're
Yes,
still
yes,
out here
it
being
is.
a menace, so if you live in Tasmania, you
I've
might
watched
just
like
get a
10
visit
bits
from
with
him.
him.
Just
Oh
make sure
my
you have a sick day in the
gosh,
chamber in case
really?
a 1,300-pound
I've
sausage
never
decides to
heard of
park in
him.
front of your car. And because Tasmania, you can go from a dive
Oh
job
my
in the
gosh,
hut
look
on
at
your
the
lawn
tongue.
to the world's smallest penguin. Fairy penguins spend most of their time at sea, but once a year they'll return to land to shack up,
penguins
get
are
a
so
nice
cute.
burrow, and eventually start
But straight
a
up,
family.
leave them alive?
Penguin
Here's a
dream.
med-
It's
yeah,
adorable
literally
until
they
choose
are.
to
The
shack up
dang
under your house,
himbos.
and you find out what a pint-sized penguin vow renewal sounds like.
What? Why is it breathing down my neck?
Since Australia is nothing but a compromise
never
with nature,
seen,
they get
like,
the same
it's so
diplomatic
cool.
immunity as Neil. There's even places where you can watch hordes of travel-sized blue penguins.
this guy's
coming home
voice is
after a
so
long day at
beautiful, by
sea.
the way. I'm
And
just
if you're
like,
really
dang.
lucky, you'll see what happens when he comes home to
That's
his
the stuff
wife getting her
for him?
plumbing fixed
Yeah,
by
it's like,
someone
but
else.
he's a fairy
Pro tip though,
penguin.
they don't like bright lights, but they're chill around red. I don't
What
really
the
know why, but them's the rules.
The blood
Speaking
of their
rules, you've probably
enemies!
heard of island gigantism, where animals become the supersized version of themselves if they've been marooned long enough. Tasmania is no exception. The difference is it led to the biggest tree in the world. This is Eucalyptus regnans. It's one of the few trees with a pyrokinks, since they can only reproduce by releasing seeds from pods
Oh
after
my
they've caught on fire.
gosh.
Because of the rain shadow effect,
is,
one side
it
of the
is.
island getting way
Wavelength
more rain than
probably,
the other.
I
It also means way less fires.
I just
so they
can't
kinda
know.
just keep growing. Not only can they grow taller than the Statue of
gosh.
Liberty at over 300 feet, many of these trees are well over hundreds of years old.
No, that's
That was the last big
insane.
fire. Some of the oldest can be 500. That's
Why
half a
you not
millennium
mention-
of waiting to spread their seeds. Talk about getting pushed to the edge.
Gotta get back to work, but have a
That's how you get
fantastic
these
team. Thank you for
prehistoric,
popping
almost
fire,
alien-looking
Archer.
Jurassic
I'll make sure
playgrounds
to get a
dominating the
ticket.
western half of
Thank you.
Tasmania. These not only make it one of the biggest temperate rainforests in the world, but
my
Tasmania is one of the
gosh.
few places on Earth with a negative carbon footprint. And I believe it. Just looking at this, I could tell that O2
That
is
is
different.
so
But also don't
rare.
forget, the same island that's just over 150 miles from Australia
Yeah, make
is
sure to
also a
follow
little over
Archer.
1,500 miles from the frostbitten loins of the land,
I've left a note in your app,
so
so even
technically
if
it
you
should
don't,
be
I'm
no
gonna-
surprise it can also
Thank you,
get a good
Archer. I
amount of snow.
appreciate you.
Even at the beaches. And maybe it's just me, y'all can let me know, but
Oh my
I
God.
had no idea kangaroos could be around the concept of snow. I did
It's
not
a
think that was something they had to
wallaby.
do.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, the
That
forests
is
of
so
Tasmania
weird to
are
see
definitely
kangaroos in
something out of a
snow.
fever dream. Stevie Wonder could walk through it and see that. Mostly because you don't even need to see. The soundtrack of the Apple Isle is trippy enough. Like the
What the
kookaburra, the
frick?
bird who carried the careers of sound engineers by being the stalk
Sound
voice of the jungle. And if you've ever watched Flipper or that one time SpongeBob tested the FCC, both of those were just a sped up, cracked out call of the kookaburra. Also, they're not even native to
crazy.
Tasmania, but were brought in to violate
It's
snakes.
so alien because
So were
Australia is
lyrebirds,
meant to be
except
so
they were
hot,
brought
like-
in for their own good. And lyrebirds are able to mimic anything around them, and not just other birds.
Whoa! This isn't Tassie?
There was a lyrebird named Chook who lived in the Adelaide Zoo while a new exhibit was being built. So guess what he did?
I love it. Oh my gosh.
And here you have a lyrebird imitating a child.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
And while cosplaying as a chainsaw is cool, the gaslight potential is too outrageous to not be.
They're all in your beauty.
There's other birds too. You probably know this as a
Thank you,
Carnage Happy
Echo.
Hell Tweety and a
Thank
literal
you.
black Air Force. But Tasmanian magpies don't swoop, and neither I nor science have any idea why. Also, I don't know what I thought a goth canary sounded like,
Oh my god.
but it certainly wasn't this.
That's
I'm
the
as
Australian
confused as you.
morning.
If you look up into the trees, you might find the eye-catching Tasmanian rosella, or the tawny frogmouth, which is quite literally the opposite. Truly a muppet of a bird, but it's the muppet Tasmania deserves.
Oh my
And then you have the nightjar. A little known fact about them is they actually have an even smaller Siamese twin of a bird right by where their beak's supposed to be.
What?
And now you'll never be able to unsee it. But that's not even close to the weirdest
yeah, I
animal in
can't.
Tasmania.
I can't.
That would have to be, yep, we've entered the platypus portion of the video.
Oh,
We'll take a whole
platypus
nother
just
video
don't
to
make
describe all
sense.
the ways this identity crisis of middle finger
Oh.
to the natural order. So
Also, I think
here's
my
some
phone
highlights.
died. One
They have
second.
no nipples, so they sweat milk.
Ooh, of all of me to pause on that. Wait. I need to put in my PNG, guys. I just had too much fun. That's probably what happened. 1 second. Oh no. Not like I need my phone. Am I right? I'm totally... Let me get rid of myself. Kindness will always make me smile because it makes others happy. You're such a sweetheart, honestly. Okay, I'm just transforming for this, but then I'll get back to it eventually. I think I'll probably do the rest of the stream PNG mode, but let's continue some casual geographic.
They have no teeth, so they chew with rocks. They have no stomach, it goes straight down their gullet. They swim blind.
Wait, what? They
and
have no
use
stomach?
electrical impulses like sharks to find prey, because of course
They
do.
have no
And they
stomach.
have
It's left
one
with some parts and just
all-purpose
randomly
pole.
clip them
Apparently
together.
so fascinating, their entire family reunion got named after it.
crazy.
The only
They
animal in their league of eccentricity, yeah, weird was just too bland.
They
a
have
word
no
for that,
teeth?
Is the
What?
echidna. It's also a stomachless, egg-laying, milk-sweating, water-loving monitor.
Actually,
They're a lot like the
okay,
Greek
I
guard
didn't know
dog
they
Cerberus,
water-loving.
but instead of 3 heads, they have 4. Instead of on their shoulder, theirs is south of the border. Echidnas have a fire hydrant with
What?
4 nozzles, and only 2 can come to a conclusion at a time. Speaking of erupting
With
heads,
4?
I'm really about to blow your mind. So you probably know the Disney show
Oh my gosh.
Phineas and Ferb with character
Yes,
Perry the
yes,
Platypus,
Perry the
created by
Platypus.
Dan Povenmire, who came up with a concept for a teal-tinted monitoring in 1993. And obviously, platypus
Wait,
aren't
what?
green in nature, or at least not the live ones. Except in late 2020, scientists discovered the walking
1993?
custard factory glows
We love
under
Perry the
UV light.
Platypus.
Take a wild guess what color. Yeah, this goes right at the top. Their quadrupede cousins glow too. In fact, we found out that a lot, if not most, Australian
Why
mammals show out under ultraviolet.
do they
And
glow?
yeah, if anyone has a reason other than that's just Australia, I would love to hear it.
What
And
the
if you thought it couldn't get
frick?
weirder, 1, you're not giving Tasmania nearly enough credit, and 2, there's an animal here that catches bodies and uses light to do it. This underground light show is
Oh
a
my
cave full of glowworms.
gosh.
They're not worms, but the larvae of a type of gnat that uses bioluminescence to lure insects in, and a thread hanging from the cave
The
ceiling to
heck?
trap them. Straight out of the page
What is in
of the Anglerfish
Tasmania?
playbook. Once a victim flies too close to the sun, the larva pulls them
What
up
the
to
heck?
revoke their
That's
existence.
insane.
Sea sparkles are a lot less dramatic, and these are caused by bioluminescent plankton that, like Skechers, light up when disturbed. I actually
Wait,
went to a
what?
bioluminescent bay in the Cayman Islands, and even though it means swimming in a
Is it?
microscopic mosh pit, it's definitely a
I was
trippy
gonna
ride
say, is that
everyone should
healthy to
experience
swim
at least
in?
once.
What
But
the
it has
frick?
nothing on Aurora Australis.
Maybe because I can't swim.
Now, I could give you the scientific explanation that the lights come from charged particles from the sun
Wait.
hitting atoms in the atmosphere, getting them more riled up than a fan getting an athlete's sweat sleeve, and releasing energy in the form of light. It's honestly easier to say, of course an island stormed off its gourd would have a sky on shore. Which is actually close to the other thing
be
Tasmania
seen
is
from
famous for.
space?
Tasmania is the
Probably
world's
not.
leading
Yeah, it
producer
probably
of the
isn't.
building blocks
People are
for
crazy.
opiates and supplies half of Earth's ingredients for morphine, fentanyl, and everything else in the average episode of Euphoria. In 2009, mysterious crop circles appearing in fields had farmers all forms of befuddled, until they realized it was just
Very
wallabies
pretty,
down in
Reggie,
poppy
Reggie. You're
plants
pretty.
getting more cooked than the
All
opposite
of you are pretty.
and hopping around in circles until eventually passing out. There were respected members of the scientific community that said it was aliens. Whole time it was an economy-sized kangaroo eating enough product to
Oh
have 40
my
years of who, what,
gosh.
and a how. Cockatoos get lit off too, but at least with them, they're only feeding after the seeds and not just getting higher than their wings can take them. But wallabies walling out is a problem for one very crucial reason.
This is blowing my mind so quickly.
Tasmania is also the roadkill capital of the world. It's said that 32 auto-assisted census subtractions occur every hour. And since wombats are walking cinder blocks with a rear end of retribution, they have the potential to drive a literal wedge between your car and the road.
It looks like a small bear.
Four-wheeled flatlines is bad for them, but great for one animal. This wombat's in a nightmare, but he's not dreaming, because Tasmanian devils will live up to their name by feeding on carcasses from the inside out, to the point where they'll have a food coma while bowels deep in the dead and decaying. And at the size of a small dog, devils have the most damaging bite relative to body size of any mammal.
What the heck is this?
Clearly Brushtails took voice coaching from them, since they literally got their name from settlers touching down on Tasmania and hearing what a devil dinner party sounds like. But they're pretty well known, unlike their close cousin, the quoll. I don't know how they fly under the radar, because where devils are mostly scavengers, quolls mostly eat what they kill. And considering there have been over 100 cases of quolls feeding on human remains, 111 to be exact, that devil title looking real fraudulent. Quolls also have an alternate black morph, proving that any animal with an Oreo colorway lives on demon timing. The Tasmanian devil's biggest op is their own kind. They're so bite happy that it's a big reason for the spread of devil facial tumor disease. And considering biting's basically foreplay to them, it's like an STD that's done an absolute number on their population. And there's a real fear it can cause them to go the way of the thylacine. The thylacine's been called the Tasmanian tiger or the Tasmanian wolf. It's actually the other dominant predatory marsupial. One of the few times an animal got gaslit.
I know, but it was so intense.
Bounties were put on their heads, and not only were people saying thylacines were marking 50,000 sheep a year in a place that didn't have more than 40k max. Later evidence says that their jaws might have been too weak to even murk a sheep. To be fair, if that's true, nature set them up. And in 1936, the last known thylacine named Benjamin died in the Hobart Zoo. Almost fittingly enough, after being locked out of his sleeping area, and the bipolar Tasman weather finished him off. But from everything we've learned about Tasmania, you knew they weren't gonna let that slide. Since 2005, devil diehards have been creating insurance populations of those without the disease, and even established an inaugural class of imps on the nearby Maria Island. There have also been efforts to create a vaccine to save the mascot of Tassie, and as of 2023, it's officially been approved for testing. And after a 3,000-year devil absence, Tasmanian devils were born on the Australian mainland. After 44 of them were drafted in 2011 to a breeding program for the Aussie Ark Devil Project, which definitely sounds like a cult. We even got dogs working as wingmen for the devils by smelling when a female's ready to mate, date, and procreate so they can get her set up with a male. Since then, about 500 joeys have joined the devil database, and they might not be the only ones making a comeback. There's a good number of people that believe that the thylacine is still out there, and with a lot of the Tasman wilderness being straight up inaccessible to most people, maybe the tiger of Tasmania is still out there in the shadows. And honestly, staying low-key is probably their best move. That's
it's
really
like the
Tasmania
links, they thought a specific
how such a medley of mindfuckery and generational balderdash can be so underrated is beyond me. But if I've learned anything about Tasmanians, that's exactly how they want it. But that's gonna do it for this video. That was actually inspired by this animation.
That was insane.
I'm not gonna spoil too much, but it basically shows you what a day in the Tasman wilderness
I love old animation. It looks so good.
Definitely go check that out. Friendly reminder that I am selling calendars. Link will also be down below.
Oh, respect
Drink
to you,
water,
bro.
Hug your parents. If you see a thylacine for their own good, no, you didn't. And I'm gonna see y'all
for their own good.
One.
Dang, that was good.